is one that's very appealing because they can come to the farm. Yes. And I'd wonder then, because there was always, and still is, this whole thing about like, oh, but organic is expensive. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before. So yes. I'd like you to maybe open that Pandora's box.
Yeah, I think, and don't get me wrong, back to the hydroponics, I'm not saying that is, let's say, fresh tomato. That is not processed and probably is one of the best options on the shelves, considering it doesn't need as much crop protection, spraying, and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what people want is to see these natural production ecosystems, and that is why organic has the demand it has, and the people are paying the premium for that.
Yeah.
Now the premium doesn't go as profits to an organic farmer, because the cost of doing things the old traditional way, of weeding by hand, of having biodiversity where you're not specialized in a single crop, having to have crop rotation, you're not automating packaging, you're not automating farming, seeding, harvesting, with this wide variety of produce that you have. So that increases costs. Also, the traditional mindset is because you don't have all this chemical tools in terms of crop protection, then you're having less productivity. Also, in terms of fertilizing, again, you're having less productivity. So per square meter, again, it goes back to per square meter, how much are you producing? That gives you the cost. In general, most studies say that organic, once it reaches scale, should be around 30% more expensive. Okay. That is where a lot of people say, hey, organic is going to need more farmland. We don't have that kind of land, and so on. The thing is, the consumer is demanding organic.
Yeah.
In the United Arab Emirates, we have very precious resources. In my opinion, we shouldn't be using our water to compete on conventional shelves. It should be premiumized. And you see that with the Sharjah projects, is that once you have leadership coming out and saying, look, this has been grown the way you want it to be grown. Environmentally friendly. It has this much protein content. We are looking for your health, out for your health. You see consumer demand, regardless of price.
It's literally almost like it's a hype product. Like everybody. I mean, there's, you know, whether
but I don't think it's a trend. It's going to keep going. And you find that trust in like the original projects, let's say in Elaine or others, that you want to buy that milk or this poultry product because you associate that this product comes with a certain quality and trust. And
there is that the relationship between the consumer and the source or origin of food is starting to be readdressed. And you can see a lot of small businesses. I know of a Buffalo Dairy in Al Ain. I know of an A2 Dairy in Al Ain, aside from Maliha Milk
and
out of Sharjah and Rumaila, where, you know, and I want to call it the premiumizing, but the depth of storytelling, product, quality, and addressing the relationship between commoditized food and, you know, I don't want to say romanticized, but it's a lot more small scale and it's a lot more particular, and it's very much direct to consumer, right? Certain brands have reached to the point where they can scale out to wholesale and retail, but many of them own their own supply chains. So, and this was a criticism I had of hydroponics. Are we going to get to the point where can everybody own their own supply chain? I mean, you said it. Logistics is its own headache. And for all the other small producers, they do home delivery.
And sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say a lot of the people that invested in their distribution and their shelves are now importing and packaging. Why? Because you start looking at the distribution business separately than your production business, and you say, I'm already at shelves, I'm a recognized brand, but I have a drop in productivity in the summer, or I don't have a large enough product basket, especially with the specialized hydroponic growers. So my truck's already going half empty. If I throw in an imported product under my brand, my shelves, so you're seeing that.
It's an adjacent offering basically in the market. Now, this brings us to the retail shelf, right? And retailers at the moment still hold the highest value, and globally, the highest value margin in the supply chain for agriculture. Now, again, farmer earning menial margins, then wholesalers taking up larger margins for consolidating and doing the quality check, and then the retailers offering shelf space. And I think a lot of consumers don't understand that the retailers are not buying
a lot of the times they aren't.
The retailer is not buying fruit, veg, etc. off the market. It is being stocked and they're selling shelf space. And so whatever doesn't get sold actually has to be removed from shelves. So the liability is still on the wholesaler or the supplier to manage the relationship just within the limited experience of going through the retail and seeing it on a shelf. So what do you think the role for the retailers should be moving forward to create more sustainability? Because I remember speaking a long time ago when we were consulting for, or actually we were working with a client who has a goat farm in Bahrain, and it was a dairy. And the product wasn't coming off the shelf fast enough. And so he was having to pull product off. And he literally YouTubed how to make soap. And started to make, goat cheese. It's not goat cheese, sorry, but goat milk based soaps. And that was a way of recovering and recycling what wasn't going to market or wasn't going to consumers, to provide a second product line. That was a very innovative way to solve his problem. But the others, what you're talking about, is they're sweeping in other products to own more shelf space, to deliver more opportunity, and to cover the cost of logistics. And they had two dilemmas, but I digress. And I just want to get back. Where is the retailer's responsibility in this relationship between the producer and the consumer? Because like yourselves, you're cutting some of them out.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, a lot of retailers are not, for local farmers at least, they have been giving preferential treatment.
Good.
In terms of supporting by buying, trying, to take on the waste aspect, private labeling, a farmers club, for example, that was set up, and supporting local. Now, retailers are either doing this for two reasons: responding to government
initiatives
that are saying, hey, we want to support local, and negotiating on behalf of farmers. And the other is consumer demand. Consumers, again, it's a health and wellness aspect. I want product that had less time traveling to me. I want it to be more sustainable in terms of, its air miles and so on. So there are these two trends happening, and retailers are a good path for local farmers, and the majority of local production goes to retailers, because on retail shelves, the consumer makes a choice. There is honey for 10, 20 dirhams, and there's for 40, and there's for 200. It's up to you. Okay. And the retailer just curates that selection. So that means that you can have, local tomatoes and Lebanese tomatoes and Dutch tomatoes on a shelf. And the consumer makes that choice, and the local is able to be competitive in a sense. Now, in HoReCa and hospitality and retail and catering, this process is not there. There's the choice is all the purchasers, and he's trying to save money. So majority is going to be cheaper imports. Majority, even eggs, fresh, everything. For local on the retail, fresh milk, fresh eggs is king. For HoReCa, it's imported eggs, long life milk and so on. So, given that context, retail plays a very important role. And farmers look at retail as their first place to sell their product. Now, what we are seeing is retailers sometimes expect the same dynamic of what they were having from their traders or importers. Now, an importer has a calendar of okay, I'm going to source this from here,
Yeah.
and then from here, and then
Yes.
from here across the different months.
They're covering their year's supply, basically.
Yeah, they know where the seasonality goes, or they're dealing with somebody that does that for them.
Yeah.
When you deal with a farmer direct, there is now today he calls you and, oh, there was a heat wave, or there was a storm, or my production is much less than I expected. And there's seasonality where he can't keep the same product on the shelf.
So this is interesting. What we're talking about is I don't want to say a lack of sophistication, but they don't have the maturity to ensure their harvest meets spec, volumes, and sort of the sort of monthly or weekly tonnage. And that, I believe, is attributed simply for the size of the size of the farm, right? They're not a scaled operation. They're not consolidated supply chains. It's a single operator. And at best, they're getting a spot price if they go to market. And if they have a relationship with a retailer, they just have to make sure they're delivering the volume and it's being shelved.
So what this is bringing together, unfortunately, sometimes is opportunity for people to take advantage. You have high demand from the consumer wanting local. You have retailers that want to achieve some targets and commitments in terms of sustainability, supporting local and so on. And you have weak supply and sophistication on. So you have an opportunity for some people to come in. And this is happening across the world, where if people want salmon at a certain price point from a certain country or origin, you can bring it from somewhere else, label it that country. So this is part of country of origin fraud. This happens in olive oil. It happens in made in Italy products. It happens with cheese. It happens across the food sector. Because the opportunity is very big, right? So I think moving forward, we have to address this issue, make sure that there is nothing on the shelf that claims local that isn't United Arab Emirates, because this goes against national interest. It goes against national GDP. And what's happening is it's not allowing the true price of local to be achieved, because as you know, any demand and supply chart, demand went up, supply didn't go up. Why isn't prices rising? And we see it, all of us. If you talk to all the farmers, every operator, they know that there is some foul play sometimes on shelves. And this isn't the retailer doing it sometimes. It's a supplier or somebody that claims local. Sometimes it could be an employee who doesn't know any better, who might place it as UAE, responding to demand. So this is extremely important to address. I think you mentioned the elephant in the room. For me, this is a big one. Because demand is, the consumers are responding to the government's initiatives. We have Plant the Emirates. We have media campaigns supporting local farmers, supporting UAE production. You have leadership from the highest levels saying we want to support UAE agriculture. So for somebody to come in and label something that isn't UAE as grown in UAE in our own market, this is like, bringing in Chinese cheese and going to like Italy and saying this is
mozzarella or Gloucester cheese,
Parmigiano Reggiano or whatever. No, we can't have that at all.
So it's interesting because just recently we've had the Ministry of Economy put out the GI system, or the geographical indicator system, which is essentially, like for the Europeans listening, the DOP in France, the origin, essentially identifying, say you have Hatta cheese. If it has a GI indicator, it is actually Hatta, is sort of honey from Hatta, right? So that's one. But we've spent better part of this conversation talking about the food system and some of the challenges, because you and I talk about it all the time. Let's focus on this elephant in the room, on some solutions. What do you think could help address this? Because yes, ultimately at the consumer, who is not, who is trusting the retailer's identification of this product is from the UAE, this product is regional, this product is organic. How do we work with the regulators, with the retailers, to be able to solve that problem so that we can see, upstream the benefit for our farmers.
Yeah. I think the retailers are responding recently, and I think it's a push.
Yeah. How are they responding? Like, what are they doing? What is it?
So
is it they're taking it on them?
We had a retailer cancel 20 barcode items of UAE because they responded to, hey, you can't grow broccoli in 45-degree weather.
Right. So they're becoming savvy to what is actually in season in the market.
Seasonality.
Yeah.
And then for a sophisticated farmer like ourselves or some others, we had to prove, hey, I know it's 45, 50 outside, but I'm still growing carrots. Here's a video, me saying the date. Here's the carrots. Here's the field. Okay, let me reinstate you. So they're being responsive, which is excellent.
That's amazing.
But we want this in the season. We want it when we're producing. Right now, a lot of controls always happen in June, May, towards the end of, responding to all the complaints.
Sure.
But we really need this when the waters are murky.
Right,
There's full production. There is local broccoli.
There's broccoli from around the world, and everybody's claiming it.
How do we trace now when, it's not as easy to spot? In the summer, it's easy to spot. I know in August, there's no corn. Yeah. Everybody knows.
It's sticking out like a sore thumb.
Please, this isn't acceptable.
Yeah. Or sore ear of corn.
But in the winter, how do we do this? And I think some of the solutions everybody's looking at is traceability in food systems. You have an excellent startup, which Seafood Souk in the seafood market.
Yeah.
We don't have an equivalent in the vegetable. There is, of course, some operators and some startups, but they are relying on human input. And again, that will allow challenges.
There's a challenge, and I will definitely have Fahim, my brother who runs Seafood Souk, with his co-CEO, on here, or maybe we get Scott as well. The idea is traceability, and that ensuring the sourcing and the source for food, whether it's fruit, vegetable. For seafood, it's been a real issue globally because it can be masked so easily.
Yeah.
And once you've processed fish, it's white fish. Don't know where it came from.
Across the world too. It's super
salmon,
difficult.
Right? Yeah. Somebody's telling you it's salmon from
Norwegian.
here. Yeah, exactly.
All of it is Norwegian.
Exactly. But that's interesting, and maybe we'll bring them on and talk about where that might be applicable to other industry or other sectors. But we've talked now about technology solving for traceability and the relationship between the consumer and the retail, or rather the producer and the retailer. So there's between themselves, they're maturing their relationship. But where in this is the regulator? What do you hope the regulator can do or should be doing?
Yeah.
And how might we solve for that?
Yeah. Traditionally speaking, the regulator focused on food health.
Right. So it's a food safety issue. Yeah.
Extremely, right? Yeah. They're always taking samples. They're ensuring the food is safe for the people. The quality is high. The UAE is one of the, excellent
highest
markets
food safety,
for food
yes,
safety.
Absolutely.
Right? So they're doing an incredible job. Now, when we talk about food production, it's a more recent challenge, country of origin, fraud, these kinds of things. That needs more sophisticated knowledge base, maybe education, into seasonality, into what's possible with tech, what's not possible with tech, so that when you even audit or visit somebody, you're able to identify what is happening. Now, what I want to say is, yes, food fraud is an incredible challenge across the world, especially honey and
sure, there's so many
honey and fish and olive oil are famous culprits of this. But on your own shelves, from your own product, we're not talking about global trade here. We're talking about local trade, just ensuring that local trade is labeled as local. I think it's already illegal, so they have the tools to punish whoever is, and there are cases.
Cases have been executed. To be able
and
to
you see the results.
Reprimand
those. Now the problem is you're going to have pain. What is pain? The price is going to go up.
Sure.
People are going to complain. Things aren't so shiny anymore. Availability is limited.
Right.
So But we need this pain. We need this price to go up for investments in agriculture, for farmers to get back into their land, to find this useful, to reach scale, and then prices will stabilize to a normal price point that covers their cost, covers demand, and we reach resilience. So I think that we need this pain for at least 2 years, where you're going to have prices slowly. I'm not talking about, crazy prices, but if it's really stamped out, you can only find local cucumber if it's purely local, and peppers and so on. Yeah, prices
will change. And look, I'm a big advocate of the adversity because it builds the resilience.
Prices changing is objective.
Right.
For me, the prices are not sustainable. They can't make money on this price point.
So the local producers' price point right now at retail, they're just not getting enough to stay functional as farms.
A lot of it is coming because of subsidies, semi-government support, organizations coming in, high investments that still need to raise. I think for our industry, for me to see farmers that are expanding and growing more and making money straight off farming, we still need a better price point.
So this is interesting because we circle right back down to, you want those smallholders to be able to move into commercial spaces. The price point for those commercial farmers need to be at a level that allows them to get off that subsidy.
Yeah.
And we're not there for local produce.
I think the smallholders can then, if there's money in the system, the system will figure out a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right now, if you're not making money, you don't want to talk about investing. You don't want to talk about improving quality. You don't want to talk about anything. It's a very challenging market. If money flows into the system, I think farmer cooperatives would become more
prevalent. We have some Northern Emirate cooperatives.
There are.
And I'm a big proponent of that because at least resourcing the challenges in the farming together and going to market with volume is in the interest of those farmers in this system.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you get to retail. That's how you can also renegotiate prices so that the value can come back.
And then I think farmers are always complaining, but we want to move from 20% production, 80% talking about these challenges, to 80% production. We want to spend our time talking about production, seeds, getting into the weeds of making money farming, versus right now saying, hey guys, there's this elephant in the room. I don't want to talk about anything else. I'm unable to compete on the shelf.
So my question to you then is, how do we move away from the talking? And it's ironic I'm saying this on a podcast, but how do we get to the actual solving of the problem? Do we need a collective action from the farmers? Do we need policy and regulators to come in and actually put more robust lines and regulation down? Or is it's a lack of investment? If it's uninvestable, right? And I've seen, development banks and Khalifa Fund have invested a lot. I mean, we've got a history of investing in this. So my question is, what's missing for that investment to have its knock-on effect positively?
Yeah.
I believe that policy and regulation in a way need to evolve. And that's been a sort of sticking point in my time with government. It becomes difficult to evolve regulation to benefit farmers to become more commercially viable. And then there's also that whole getting farmers to be able to work together, right? Just saying you're going to build a co-op is one thing, but getting 20, 30 farmers to all sit in a majlis and agree on what might be a crop plan or operationally needs to happen on each farm to skill up labor. I mean, this is why we talk so often, is there are so many problems or challenges to solve. But what for you think where we are today is the first one we need to tackle?
For me, I think price point. So this is why I'm talking about market controls, because I think it's impacting price point. Because before that, if you asked me 5-10 years ago, I'd say demand, talking of getting more shelf space. But we got there. We got retailers on board.
Good.
They're saying yes.
Okay.
We got hospitality saying, okay, we signed on. We have internal goals of sourcing 50% local and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the table now.
Mm-hmm.
Retailers, caterers, hospitality, and so on. Good. Now we see it being all that demand being fulfilled by, in my opinion, a large portion of it sometimes is being fulfilled by country of origin fraud. So my thing is solving that. And then what happens is the prices are going to be high.
Mm-hmm.
Once we are not competing with each other, the farmers will cooperate. Right now, we're all competing for our small
This is the
little
point.
pie
Mm-hmm.
at prices that don't make us money. We're undercutting demand. Like the person on the other side of the table says, oh, your price point is this much. I'm not going to buy it because X is giving it to me. Available all year round, any quantity I need,
Sure.
excellent quality, cheaper. Okay, but it's not local.
Yeah.
So you want local, and I need you to never say it's local unless it's local. You can't get everything.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
want
yeah,
local,
exactly.
this is the price point.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And once you pay that, you're going to invest in, and maybe, it's a good time to talk about a bit of history in organic with Baker and Spice, the restaurant.
Super, deli.
Yeah,
many branches. Yeah.
Yeah, they set up a few branches, and I think they were motivated to source local and organic.
Yeah.
And this was early 2000, 10, 9.
Yeah.
And they looked around and they found a few that really believed in it. And I think this was before the organic certification, or it just started.
Yeah.
And they set up a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Now, the farmer's market isn't their business. Their whole point was, we're going to give you these shelves for free. We're going to market people to come out.
Yeah.
And the price point is going to be high.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't sell, I'll buy. So it's guaranteeing.
Yeah.
Because we're a restaurant, we'll figure out, we'll make jams, we'll make pickles, we'll make something happen. And till today, these farmers they brought together are still the organic farmers of the UAE. The people they supported early on.
Amazing.
With prices, they educated them on seeds, they traveled together, even under the ministry.
Oh, wow.
I believe to India and Egypt to look at organic agriculture.
Yeah.
They developed the product and they were guaranteed weekly to come out and interact. So that did the job of building farmers and an industry and a community. And that is what needs to be done in the beginning, I think, with retailers, is that you're going to reach a point where, okay, nobody's giving me mislabeled product, but the consumer wants local. I'm going to sit with the farmers and say, what are your problems? How can we... And I go, well, packaging is costing me this much. Logistics is this. We need to do this to support us. This is how our seasonality works. Can you give me offtake agreements? Because right now I just wake up every day and chase orders. Can you give me offtake agreements so I can farm based on demand and we can share the risk? When we have these conversations, when everybody's motivated, you're going to build farming, you're going to build the proper ecosystems, everybody's on the same page. So that is why for me, this ensuring that nobody's taking the demand of grown in UAE is very important. And then once we solve that, I'll be talking about something else.
We'll be back here. We'll
be back to production and inputs. We'll be back to maybe farmer cooperatives to ensure that we're not we're answering the call that these retailers and the opportunity in the right way, and we're not all growing cucumbers and then the next season we all grow tomatoes and crash the price, and the year after. So there's more coordination, and we stop competing with each other and we do what we're supposed to be doing, competing with the imports.
Right. Sorry, I've been thinking really hard about how to solve this between us and SOMA is a big advocate of education. And I think you've also talked about how the community was sort of, or let's call it, in the sort of Baker and Spice story, right? A demand that was situated in a retail experience and very motivated ownership. I know the owner, I didn't know the owner, but the operator, who will also be on this podcast eventually. He's a common friend. But Andre, the idea that to reach out and bring the farmer into that space and create the community. And I know there's and they didn't just do it with the retail. They did a farmer's market. They did it with
goat cheese, local goat
yeah,
cheese.
there, exactly. I saw all the products come and go.
Yeah. Pickles, you had a few,
Maybe what we can do is look at bringing and educating the retailers, because as you say, maybe it's somebody who's a stalker who doesn't understand the importance. Maybe they don't understand what the seasonality of produce locally is. Maybe they don't have the sort of the harvest plan of the year.
Yeah.
Right? If they just knew at the beginning of season, hey, this is a sort of generic harvest plan. You should be seeing cucumbers in this season. You should be seeing carrots as far as that season. It gives more information to the retailer to understand, whoa, that's out of season. I need to go and check that. It helps regulators because now there's more data and information to be able to solve for this. And ultimately it brings, it's a premise to bring all of the farmers and retailers and regulators in one place.
Yeah.
And I think you can do this Emirate by Emirate. You can do this between the local regulators. And there's work on this that SOMA is trying to do to be able to raise the platform for local farmers and our local food system. And now, as you say it, it's almost sad that we don't have Baker and Spice anymore, but I think there is a real need to bring back that space. And you're providing that with Emirates Biofarm, with the experience of F&B and the farm shop. I think there's something that can be done at scale, but it's always tricky, as you say. So long as there's that food arbitrage or that food fraud in the retail space, and the consumer can't discern, the retail isn't guarding that, there is a part of the market or the part of the offering that should be removed. And I like that knock-on effect that say, cool, now you have less. There's still the onus for local. Now you can raise that price and it gives the local farmers. I think the one thing that's on my mind is, can we ensure that the farmers meet that ask? The conversation with Yazen has been full of depth and detail. And because we didn't want you to lose the richness of this conversation, we've broken it down into 3 parts. You've just ended part 2, and we look forward to continuing with you in part 3.